You said something 3 days ago. Maybe it was at a party. Maybe it was at work. Maybe it was just a text you sent at 11 p.m. that felt fine in the moment and terrible by morning. And right now, somewhere underneath everything else you're doing, your brain is still running it, replaying it, editing it, asking what they must have thought. You're not anxious, you're not insecure, you're ancient. That loop your brain runs, the one that won't let you forget the look on someone's face when you said the wrong thing, that is not a flaw in your psychology. It is the oldest survival software your species ever wrote. And once you understand why it exists, you will never be embarrassed by it again. Here is where it starts. Imagine you are a human being living somewhere between 100,000 and 200,000 years ago. You don't have a phone. You don't have a grocery store. You don't have savings or a backup plan. What you have is a group. Maybe 30 people. Maybe 50. Your group is everything. Your group is food, because hunting alone kills you. Your group is warmth, because shelter alone isn't enough. Your group is survival, and nothing else comes close. Now ask yourself, what is the single most dangerous thing that can happen to you in this world? Not a predator, not a drought, not a rival tribe. The most dangerous thing is being removed from your group, being cast out, being ignored, rejected, excluded. Because alone, you die. It is not metaphor. It is not drama. It is simple, brutal arithmetic. The savannah does not negotiate. This is the pressure that built your brain. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent decades studying the relationship between primate brain size and social group complexity. What he found is striking. The neocortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex thought, did not get bigger to solve physics problems or map rivers. It got bigger to track people, to remember who did what, to model what others were thinking, to predict in real time how the group was perceiving you. Dunbar's conclusion was direct. The human brain evolved primarily as a social computer. Your brain is not a thinking machine that occasionally worries about people. It is a people-tracking machine that occasionally thinks about other things. And the core function of that machine is this: do not get kicked out. So your brain developed what researchers now call sociometer theory. Psychologist Mark Leary at Duke University coined the term in the 1990s. And the idea is precise. Your self-esteem, that internal sense of how you're doing, is not really about you at all. It is a meter, a gauge, a real-time readout of how accepted your brain believes you are within your social group. When the meter goes up, you feel confident. When the meter drops, you feel shame, anxiety, the urgent pull to fix something. Your brain runs this meter constantly. Every social interaction gets processed for signals. A smile, a pause before answering, a text that doesn't get replied to, the tone someone used when they said your name. These signals get fed into a system that has been running since before your species had language. And the system's only job is to answer one question. Are you safe here? Not safe from lions. Safe from rejection? Here is the part that makes everything click. In your ancestral environment, that system was almost never wrong to be sensitive. If your group started pulling away from you, if someone stopped including you in decisions, if you noticed people whispering when you walked up, that was genuinely dangerous information. That meant something was wrong. That meant you had to act, to repair, to adjust your behavior before the situation got worse. The social anxiety that kept your ancestors calibrating their behavior every single day is the same anxiety that woke you up at 3 a.m. last Tuesday to replay a sentence you said at dinner. The environment changed. The software didn't. Neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman at UCLA ran a series of studies that made this concrete in a way that is difficult to forget. In one experiment, he put participants in an fMRI scanner and had them play a simple ball-tossing game called cyberball with what they thought were two other people. At some point, the other players stopped passing the ball to the participant. They were excluded. Socially, mildly, temporarily excluded from a meaningless virtual game that lasted a few minutes. And what lit up in the brain? The anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that processes physical pain, not the regions associated with sadness or frustration. Pain. Your brain does not distinguish at the neurological level between a broken bone and being left out. It registers both as damage, both as threat, both as something that must be repaired before it gets worse. Lieberman called this finding social pain, and it reframed something that people often dismiss as weakness. You are not oversensitive when rejection hurts. You are functioning exactly as designed.